Staying safe in travel is one of the absolute most important things that needs to be considered before planning any trip. You should never put your life at risk, but you also shouldn't let fear be an impediment to having exciting journeys and learning stuff about the world. Having traveled to places like Yemen, Libya, Syria, South Sudan, Central African Republic in the past couple of years means that I was often entering situations that can generally be perceived to be dangerous. But I always had an approach to thinking about the safety, and I always made sure that I was going to be able to be as safe as possible before entering. So here I'm going to share with you my four-pronged approach to assessing the security situation in any place that you're visiting. The first prong is to think of the prevalence. How many people who are traveling to this place are having negative experience happening to them? Is it that every single person has something bad happen, or is it that every 1 in 10 person or the random person happens? That really tells you a lot about the probability of something bad happening to you. If too many people are having things happen, then you should absolutely not go. Obviously, the number of prevalence that's too high is really any amount, but you're always going to be balancing these things. The second prong is to think of the severity. So what is the negative experience that is happening to people in that country? Is it just that they're getting pickpocketed, or is it that they're getting kidnapped or murdered? What is the severity? With severity, it allows you to think about how can you prevent it from happening. If it's just pickpocketing, then you wear zippered pants. The third prong in the security assessment of anywhere that you're visiting is the reason for the negative experience. Is it that tourists are being targeted? Is it that specific races or genders are being targeted? Is it that specific nationalities are being targeted? If you're an American and there's a specific place where Americans are being targeted, then you probably shouldn't go, even if it's okay for Germans to go there. If there's a higher chance of a woman being targeted in a place, then you should be way more careful if you're going there as a woman. This is also important to know when you're looking at statistics that might be misleading. So for example, people often say that Central America has the highest murder per capita in the world, and that scares a lot of people from visiting. But generally speaking, those murders are done with people that are involved in or connected to the drug trade. Very rarely are tourists getting involved in that, and so it's generally quite safe for tourists despite that high homicide rate. That's something that can be considered in all conflicts. Some conflicts target foreigners, but others are very separate from that. Some are only if you're the enemy will anything bad happen. All of this needs to be questioned and assessed. The fourth prong to the assessment of the security situation in any place that you're going is the ability to respond. This is a question of, are you going to be in a capital city where there's an embassy from your country? Is this a place that has a military presence, that has UN peacekeepers, that has hospitals, that has an airport so that you can get out if you need to get out? Or are you going to be in the bush, deep, days hike or days drive away from any of these things that can assist you? That's another really important factor, because it tells you if something bad does happen, are you going to be able to deal with it? And it allows you then to plan ahead, to know where your embassy is, to know how much a taxi costs to the airport, and always make sure you have that on you just in case you need to get out, to have the phone numbers of whoever is relevant for you to reach out to in an emergency. All of these four prongs need to be assessed by general news, so the understanding that the international community has on the country, because there's some things that are known from outside in, and also from people within the country. Asking people who are living there, who are from there, how they assess the security situation, because more often than not, a situation is made to seem much more extreme and much larger by the media, and then once you're on the ground, it's actually quite safe. You should also always ask multiple people. because you don't know what the risk aversion is of each of those. And you also, it's just good to triangulate and make sure that everything is being confirmed to be good. So asking the same questions to multiple people, but never feel ashamed to ask questions about security. It's always better to ask more. So even if you think it's ridiculous, it's fine to do it. Even if you're in New York and you want to ask your hotel concierge, is it okay for me to walk down the street alone? That's fine, because you need to feel more comfortable and you're going to be able to focus on the fun parts of traveling if you feel secure and if you feel happy. If you're there as a tourist, it's a totally different attitude than if you're there as a businessman or if you're there visiting friends. There's completely different danger scenarios that you might be putting yourself in, and all of these things are case by case. But these 4 approaches to look at the prevalence, the severity, the reason, and the response is really the key structure to analyze if a place is safe to go and then make the best decisions while you're there. I hope that you guys enjoyed this pro tip from me about how to travel safely, how to think about traveling safely. If you have any questions about security in any of the countries, comment down below and I'll respond always. Subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram, and I hope that you all travel safe. It should never be embarrassing to ask about security. Should I say anything else? Do you have any questions as a viewer that you're like, wait, what?
No?
We're going?
Yes.
I get asked, I always start all these videos with, I get asked, but having traveled to places like Yemen, South Sudan, Libya, Syria in the past couple of years, always makes people ask me, damn it, I just did it again. Should we turn off the AC? Is it on?